The neighborhood of Willow Creek was known for its pristine lawns, pastel-colored houses, and neighbors who waved just enough to appear polite but rarely got beyond small talk. To outsiders, it looked picture-perfect, but for those who lived there, it had its cracks. Hidden beneath the manicured hedges and freshly painted fences lurked constant surveillance, whispered gossip, and an HOA that seemed to thrive on control. Darius Johnson had grown used to it, or at least told himself he had. A 35-year-old software engineer, he worked long hours from home and kept mostly to himself. His yard was tidy, his dues were always paid, and he rarely went to HOA meetings except when absolutely necessary. But even with his spotless record, he always felt like eyes followed him whenever he stepped outside. That Saturday morning started like many others. The sun was just beginning to rise, the world painted in soft pink and orange hues. Birds chirped along the rooftops as sprinklers hissed across the street. Darius sipped from his steaming mug of coffee, savoring the quiet. It was his favorite part of the day, before the neighborhood came alive with joggers, barking dogs, and the inevitable nitpicking emails from the HOA board. He walked to his garage, barefoot in his house slippers. With a simple tap on his phone, the garage light flickered on, illuminating the sleek prize he had worked years to earn, a brand new, midnight black Tesla Model S. Even after 3 weeks, he still got a rush of pride every time he saw it. The car represented more than just transportation. It was countless nights coding well past midnight, taking freelance projects on top of his full-time job, and skipping vacations so he could save. Every polished curve of the Tesla's body reminded him of sacrifices that finally paid off. He unplugged the charging cable from the wall unit, winding it neatly back into place. Running his hand along the hood, he admired how the glossy paint reflected the overhead light like liquid obsidian. His neighbors had surely noticed it too, and not all of them were happy about it. As he pressed the garage opener, the metal door slowly lifted, letting in the fresh morning air. Darius hummed softly to himself, sliding into the driver's seat. The leather was still new, carrying that fresh scent that always made him smile. He set his coffee on the cup holder, reached for his seatbelt, and... Hey! The sharp voice startled him. He turned his head toward the street, where Linda Whitfield, known throughout Willow Creek as Karen, stood frozen on her lawn in a floral robe and pink slippers. Her blonde curls were frizzed from sleep, but her eyes were wide, laser-focused on him and the Tesla. At first, he thought maybe she was just surprised. Maybe she wanted to complain about something petty, like his trash cans not being pulled in on time. But then her face twisted into horror, and her voice pierced the morning air. "That's my car," she shrieked, pointing dramatically toward the Tesla. Darius blinked, confused. "Excuse me." She stormed across the street, her robe flapping as she marched straight to the edge of his driveway. "Don't play dumb with me. That's my Tesla, the exact one I just bought yesterday. Black on black, same rims, same everything. I knew it looked too nice sitting in your driveway." Darius's brows furrowed. "Ma'am, this is my car. I bought it weeks ago. It's been parked right here, in my garage, every single day." Karen's lip curled. "Oh, don't you lie to me. I saw you walking around this neighborhood like you don't belong. And now here you are, trying to drive off in my car." "Not today." Before Darius could argue further, she whipped a smartphone from her robe pocket and jabbed at the screen with shaking fingers. "I'm calling the police right now," she announced, as though it were a badge of honor. Darius sighed, leaning against the car door. "You're making a mistake. This car is mine. I can show you paperwork if you give me a minute." But Karen was already yelling into her phone, her voice echoing off the quiet houses. 911. "Yes, there's a black man stealing a car right in front of me. Yes, right now. He's about to drive away in a Tesla that isn't his." She glared at Darius with fiery conviction, pacing in her slippers as if she were a witness to grand theft auto in broad daylight. From the corners of their yards, a few curtains shifted. Neighbors peeked out, some curious, some concerned. A jogger slowed to a stop, pulling out his phone as Karen's shrill cries filled the block. Darius closed his eyes briefly, willing himself to stay calm. He had lived through enough in life to know how quickly situations like this could spiral, especially once the police got involved. And just like that, his peaceful morning routine was gone. The wail of sirens broke through the morning calm, their red and blue strobes reflecting against the neat windows of Willow Creek like a warning beacon. What moments earlier had been a peaceful Saturday morning was now transforming into a stage for chaos. Darius stood by his Tesla, arms folded across his chest, coffee still sitting untouched in the cup holder. His jaw tightened as the sirens grew louder. He knew how quickly things could turn deadly when assumptions were made about men who looked like him. This wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a risk. 2 squad cars screeched to a halt, parking diagonally across the street. Doors flung open, and 4 officers stepped out, hands resting near their holsters. The tension was instant, a current humming in the air. "Sir, step away from the vehicle now," one officer barked. Darius complied without hesitation. He stepped back from the Tesla, raising his hands slightly so everyone could see. "Officer, I can explain. This is my car. It's parked in my garage, and I have the documents to prove it." His voice was calm, steady, practiced from years of knowing that tone could be the difference between going home and not. Karen, however, pounced on the officer's arrival like a theater actress taking center stage. She ran toward them in a flurry of bathrobe and indignation. "Thank goodness you're here. I caught him in the act. That's my Tesla. I just bought it yesterday. He was trying to drive away before I stopped him." One officer gestured for her to calm down. "Ma'am, please step back. We'll handle this." But Karen wasn't backing down. She jabbed her finger toward Darius as though she were presenting hard evidence. "You don't understand. I know for a fact it's mine. Look at it. A man like him doesn't own a car like that. He doesn't even fit in this neighborhood." Darius clenched his teeth but said nothing. The neighbors were gathering now, drawn out by the sirens and the shouting. Phones were raised, their cameras catching every word. Some whispered among themselves, while others looked visibly uncomfortable. The first officer approached Darius carefully. "Sir, do you have proof of ownership for this vehicle?" "Yes," Darius replied evenly. He gestured toward his front door. "All my paperwork is inside. The registration, financing agreement, and insurance, all of it. I'll bring it out right now if you'll let me." Karen cut in again, her voice shrill with desperation. "Don't fall for that. He's stalling. He probably forged those papers. Arrest him now before he takes off." Another officer frowned. "Ma'am, please let us do our job." Still, the damage was done. Her words lingered like poison in the air. The implication was clear, that no matter what evidence Darius provided, she would find a way to undermine it. The first officer kept his eyes on Darius. "Sir, do not make any sudden moves. If you're going into your house to retrieve documents, we'll need to accompany you." "Understood," Darius said calmly, though inside, a storm brewed. He knew every neighbor watching this unfold could see it too, how he was treated like a suspect standing on his own driveway beside his own car. Karen, meanwhile, had shifted tactics. She was now pacing dramatically, one hand on her hip, the other waving wildly as she narrated her version of events to the crowd. "I saw him open the garage and thought, something isn't right. And sure enough, he tried to take off in the car I just purchased yesterday. You all heard me say it, it's mine. This is exactly why I've been telling the HOA we need more security." Darius finally broke his silence, his voice cutting sharp through the noise. "You said you just purchased it yesterday, Karen. Where's your car then? Because this one has been in my garage for weeks." Her face flushed, but she recovered quickly, waving her hand dismissively. "Don't twist things. It's the same model, same specs, clearly this is the one meant for me." A ripple of disbelief passed through the crowd. Some neighbors chuckled under their breath, others shook their heads in embarrassment. But the officers didn't laugh. They remained focused on Darius, waiting for him to move toward the house. Darius sighed, his chest rising and falling slowly as he fought to keep his composure. "Officers, I'll walk inside with you. You'll see the paperwork matches the VIN number on this car exactly." The lead officer gave him a cautious nod. "All right, let's confirm that." Karen crossed her arms triumphantly, smirking as though she had already won. "When you see I'm telling the truth, I expect him in handcuffs. This neighborhood deserves better." But what she didn't realize, what everyone watching understood, was that the more she spoke, the more she revealed about herself. This wasn't about a stolen car. This was about her disbelief that Darius, a black man, could possibly own something she wanted.